still going to be looking to get played, be it top or in the jungle, as we load ourselves into the Rift and get this game underway. As mentioned already, KNG still searching for their very first win. Currently sat in Seoul last place. Direwolves in 4th. They've only got a 1 win to their name and only 3 points separating. So these margins are still incredibly tight.
Yeah, definitely. And to touch on, KNG look for their first win, I think it's a much better look for them. In weeks past, we have seen them come out with these much more, very unstable drafts with like the Rengar jungle. So I think it's really nice to see that they're going for a very standard front to back comp that has multiple scaling facets, and they have the ability to win side lanes through the Tristana and the Cassante. So it's very, very nice to see. I do though have to look at the Direwolves comp and think that this is just exactly what they wanted in every position. They have the team fight comp they want. They have the ability to play aggressive in the early game. They have lots of pushing lanes if they play them correctly. So I think that Direwolves is also very, very happy with how this draft went.
I'll tell you who will not be happy is Mochi there, who wraps around into that mid bush and realizes, hang on a minute, that's too many members for me to look to try and do much more and just say hello to. So he's going to be starting off this red buff, Unleashed, with 50% HP to his name. And I suppose that spawns a bit of a conversation, right? Being a mid laner yourself, Chungi joining the roster, just how important is it to really establish some kind of level of cohesion between your mid and jungle? I guess what would it be that you'd hope that they had worked on between now and in this game?
I think it's just the ability just to link up as a mid jungle and use that priority to, really enable your main carry in Katsuri. We've seen what he can do when he gets ahead, and I think that Direwolves' main problems in weeks past was the fact that mid laner was falling behind and they were just losing control of the map. Katsuri was unable to push up and really create any form of lead or push his pressure even more because, the river's dark and you can't really do anything when you have no control of the map. So hopefully this mid jungler is able to do a bit more in their 2v2 to create any sort of pressure on the map, to get early dragons, even early grubs, because as we do see like the pushing lanes coming out of Direwolves because of how the lane interactions work.
Well, speaking of those pushing lanes, you can see Sovereign already being incredibly aggressive, utilizing the fact that he is ranged into the melee match. So any given chance he has to try and deny that, Chungi innately going to be pushing that wave and can very quickly look to try and put some advanced warding down to make sure that his team is protected. But any chance Chungi has to try and then dash through these minions, no doubt he's going to answer back with some fight of his own. Checking with top lane as well, also going to be a one of a fair bit of volatility. Generally speaking, you'd say, they're just going to be trading grasp stacks, but Mayfun opting for the phase rush.
Yeah, also a lot of sustain coming out of the top lane as well. We see the cookies and the potions being chewed through by Wudon now, so it looks very... like a lot is going on in the lane right now, but not really. They're going to heal back up. They're going to sustain. I think to touch on with the mid lane dynamic though, we see this a lot where like mid laners push 2 waves and go for a ward. The main problem with that though is your lane opponent is going to hit level 3 first on the bounce back, as you saw Chungi was the first to level up, which means he now has control of the lane even though Sovereign had so much pressure in the early game. So it's nice that KNG were able to find an early vision, maybe spot out Mochi, but he did sacrifice a bit of his early game pressure because of that.
Yeah, in the end, hasn't really netted them much of a gain, and so much has been done that someone has to go back to base, maybe forced to use that TP to get back and not really get denied too much of that one as game1 tries to force a fight. He's going to get flashed off there by Katsuri, who burns the hill at the same time. First blood then goes their way, as it is a Poppy support, knocked up against the wall. Nothing you can do. 1 becomes 2 as the Direwolves bot lane back to winning ways.
Yeah, and it's just too easy for Direwolves at that point. Katsuri with a nice respect flash onto the flash out of game1, and he's just a sitting duck at the point. Both junglers piling down. Mochi, a bit of a slower clear, but he's always going to be in position to counter gank. Because we're going number 1 health.
Getting very close up here in the top lane. Oh, flash! Oh, and there's the auto attack! You could see Wood on there frantically trying to cause a little bit of chaos to run away from that one, but Mayfun would not be juked.
Yeah, and this is just going perfectly for Direwolves. The main threat you would think of is KNG, their main player, falls down to a solo kill coming out of Mayfun. I think he's done a really good job on the Gragas, even in previous weeks. As we do go back into the replay, Katsuri looks a bit overextended here, but Shinky does a really good job to peel him out, and a really good respect flash coming out of Katsuri. And at this point, Rel's not a very good champ. No cooldowns, it's very easy picking. And we see Shinky with a really nice wall slam onto Ryufu, which he was unable to react to.
It's a pretty hard combo to escape, right? When you've got the Skarner coming across those weird and wacky terrain movements, right? Where you just don't account for with any other kind of jungle gank. And then the Poppy that easily stuns you up against the wall as well. So nice reactions. And as you mentioned, Direwolf's going to be sitting in a very happy position as Shinky goes for a little bit of aggressive warding and says, game1, you cannot protect us much more. This control ward will regen and we'll stay here for the meantime.
Yeah, so Direwolves are trying very hard to link up, get each other vision. This is very nice to see that they're playing for each other, not just like sitting in individual lanes. It's probably a very important thing to do as a professional team, is to make sure that you're always pushing your lead to somewhere else on the map. You're not just playing your solo queue game where you just sit in your lane and don't really do anything. So have to see, as level 6s will come out of both mid laners based on these two waves, if this does result in a dragon or a skirmish happening in the river.
Let's see, because both junglers are hovering towards that mid lane. They don't have level 6 just yet, whilst their mid laners certainly do. So the very first dragon is going to be looked at here. Maybe not the play that Mochi wants to go for. It's on Vision. They're fully aware of this one. He's going to take a fair bit of damage in the process as Chungi jumps in, already hits the last breath ultimate, and makes sure that Referee is forced to burn that flash. The team is chasing though. It's going to be a 1v4, soon to be 2v4, but game1 has better ideas. Decides to peel away, and Chungi's announced himself back after 2 years.
Yeah, game1 walks over and he wants absolutely nothing to do with that. The rest of his team is not in position for him to go in there, and it's just, once again, Direwolves first in river. Even though we thought that KNG had the setup there, Direwolves first to collapse, find the easy kill on the Refury, also blow his flash. This is going very, very well for Direwolves, and I'm concerned about how KNG is going to be able to, scale up and be able to navigate this mid game.
Certainly couldn't ask for much more for their case at this stage, right? 4-0 and already working towards a 2k gold lead, and we're yet to find ourselves 7 minutes into this game. But I suppose to flip it around, we did mention just how much hyperscaling there is on the side of KNG. We've certainly seen in the past where there be a solo AP jungler, and it can look to try and be incredibly strong, but for that to be the one that's getting put behind the most, as you say, certainly a bit of a concern.
Yeah, definitely. It's so important. It's probably one of the largest responsibilities in the game is when you're playing a solo AP champ, you cannot afford to fall behind. It's so easy for the enemy teams to just stack armor at this point and ignore the double 80Ks, because Refury is just going to be behind the clock when it comes to getting his items and just doing the damage he needs to.
Oh, really nice interrupt on that one as game1 looks to try and disengage away from this fight. One more hammer will do it as Shinki gets the kill. Vendrick answers back, but Katsuri's already committed with that killer instinct. He's primed and ready to find himself too. But too early into this game to have that amount of damage just yet.
Yeah, Vendrick's sitting on the barrier there, so he's comfy to, walk that one out, maybe even bait Katsuri in. But the main thing is they trade 1-for-1 in the winning lane, so it's very good for the KNG 2v2 that they're able to pick up some gold. Fortunately, the kill does not go onto Vendrick though, so that's the only downside there.
Yeah, certainly a silver lining, but with a asterisk, right? Definitely not the best place for that gold to go to. But in saying that, it is nice that the likes of the Smolder and the Tristana aren't behind. They are looking to try and still keep up and make sure that they are a bit of a threat as we speak about it again. And I think Katsuri really has bitten off more than he can chew. The tower as well as the ultimate, and lights out.
Yeah, we see Mum come out of the sky there. The heal combined with the barrier is enough for Vendrick to easily bait that one out. And we see that Katsuri just goes down, which is a very, very big mistake coming out of him. I think a lot of this gold that goes onto Smolder, any scaling acceleration going to the KNG side could mean lights out for Direwolves when this comes to late game.
We just mentioned how concerned we were for KNG's start. That certainly puts them in a much better position now. But the first dragon will be looked at, and Direwolves this time seemingly going to go and commit towards it. 3 members are here to make sure that is the reality, and with them having full vision as to where KNG are, I don't think there's any contest coming out. So Ocean Drake goes their way. Still, it is a gold lead in their favor. Only a 1k lead now, just shy of. But certainly nowhere near as concerning as the snowball that was brewing before.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm pretty sure that Refury was spotted on the ward near the golems walking into bot lane, so Direwolves side is going to know that there's a bit of danger here. I assume Shinki's just going to bait that one out, probably drop a ward on them to see that they're there, and easily disengage this.
Oh, hard force here by game1, flashing ahead, but almost on a different page to the rest of his team. Spotted an opportunity, split-second reaction, but the rest of the team just weren't there to back him up, and Katsuri and Shinki don't even need to burn their flash.
Yeah, that was just, easy for them to walk out. I think Shinki was a bit too comfortable with where he was positioning there, and he could have potentially fallen down if the shove does connect there. But unfortunately, they weren't really on the same page, so they were unable to time that one properly. Taking stock of the game, though, it's in a much better position than it felt for KNG based on the early game. As we see the flash aggressively onto Vendrick, but I think he's going to be...
Oh, Vendrick's in trouble this time, though, because you had that displacement, right? The repositioning with the ultimate of Kaiser. And it looked like game1 was like, well, we scared them enough. They surely don't make anything happen. But you can never discount a Poppy hiding in a bush. Finds the wall.
game1.
And GG. And game1, are we taking a little bit too much to try and hold this wave? No, it will fizzle out.
Timmy, I don't think I've ever spoken without being interrupted by the players. Come on, guys. You keep cutting me off. Every single time I try to have a point, there's always a skirmish happening out of nowhere.
sometimes the game's pace just, goes in this way. And sometimes you might have to become a bit of a pseudo play-by-play like myself. Mochi making matters found here as he jumps into the mid lane, primes up the Impale, drags him back, but Chungi zoned by the Weaver's Wall. Bit of an awkward spot for him to try and interact with right now as he's waiting for the next creep wave to come on through so he can dash on through. But the presence of the Thea in the end is enough for the fight to fizzle out.
Yeah, Sovereign just tanks both ultis coming out of the mid jungler from Direwolves, walks that one off, doesn't really worry. Unfortunately, Ripuri once again misses the crucial flick, which I think could have resulted in a kill coming out of the Kenga side. And I think that these kills in the early game going to the sole AP member of Ripuri are so important.
Certainly would mean the world to them, right? The ability to be incredibly aggressive, not only in the 1v1 duels, but also the ability to command respect of the map, be it if you're going for the Drake, the Herald. Saying if you step up, you will get flicked and potentially one shot, but certainly not in that situation right now. Sitting with that lost chapter, hoping to try and convert it in, but going to be rudely interrupted here by Chungi. He's making sure that this mid lane does certainly belong to him.
Yeah, this is one of the strengths of Yasuo in the current patch. So in times past, very used to the lethal tempo. Yasuo's all-in threat was a lot higher, but now he's kind of you think of an Akali 2.0 with the, you have your Doran shield, you have your fleet, you have your second wind, you have your absorb life. You just have so many different forms of sustain. See, they're all coming out of Chungi here. Sovereign gonna jump that one out, has access to the TPs, he's gonna base, miss a couple CS, but still be able to catch the wave.
The concern for me, though, I suppose, Tally, is the fact that Chungi really is having his way with this lane. Yes, he has the flash. He could just simply dash through this one and flash for good measure. There is no counterplay. And Sovereign will be punished. He's already done enough with the buffered rocket jump away. But Chungi says, not only will I look to try and establish myself a 30 CS lead, I want some turret plates, I want even more.
There's a lot of greedy recalls coming out of the Kenga side, but we see Katsuri just doing so good in the 2v1 here, trading aggressively, even though his support is roaming. This is the main time skimming for Kai'Sa. We see the first item completed with the pickaxe, so we get the Q evolve coming out. The amount of damage that comes out of Kai'Sa at this point, especially with an isolated Q, is quite unmatched.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a ton of damage, and definitely nothing you want to mess around with. I am interested, though, if we look at this goal graph, it is a bit of a topsy-turvy affair, although it definitely is still very much Direwolves favoured. They've managed to get themselves 4 Void Grubs, the first Drake, and now you got Mochi even invading for some counter jungle. Yeah,
just a lot of control on the map for Direwolves is the main point. I think that goes to how the matchups really function at this point in the game. Tristana is very good at bullying squishy champions. We see Shinki going for the dive. He cannot jump out right now.
X-Flash across the wall. Where do you go, Sovereign? You've got literally nowhere to run or hide because that team is on a one-way mission to take you down. Mochi lurking in the shadows, waiting to see what happens. Woodon, he's had enough of top lane, so he decides to become a mid laner of his own. Goes all out, finds himself dead, and Shinki, after a great roam from bot lane, eventually falls on down. The rotate from Gaben is late, but is there to at least help them salvage something. And then bot lane, now having a cheeky 1v1 as Vendrick flaps his wings, summons his mum, but Katsuri says, I'll show you who's daddy.
Yeah, in the entire wave between towers, takes him out. Ripuri jumps in though. I don't know if they're going to pick this one up, Skimmy.
We're still looking for more. This time the Talia flick is good, but Chungi is dashing, hunting, waiting for those stacks to drop. Oh, one more Q. So close to getting the kill. Mochi says, I have a tower. Drags him in with the Impale. Gaben responding with that stun. Shouldn't really feel too concerned knowing that Shinki's rushing on back, but the stun is there. The collision is good. Shinki lining up the angle. But between these two, they just don't have the damage to find one more.
Yeah, conserving his flash there. There's better scenarios to use it in, so good to see by Shinki. But I just think this goes to show the Direwolves comp how nice it is when they're able to roam around the map and get these skirmishes in. It's so hard to play the Tristana into Yasuo when he just, goes down the way, throws out the wind wall. You can't trade back, you try to jump away. All of a sudden there's a Poppy with the steadfast presence on your head. You can't jump. It's just so hard for Kenga to navigate these team fights right now.
Yes, becoming a little bit of a rough one, right? Because I'm seeing Shinki become fairly unleashed, knowing that Katsuri is doing really well. He doesn't need to be there to babysit him anymore. Once again, you can see him here just being so aggressive with his vision to facilitate, to provide great information, and to allow these lane swaps to take place. Second Dragon being looked at, that's seemingly going the way of Direwolves again, and with these lane flips happening, Chungi can just literally AFK by the tower, try and deny as much of that as possible. Whilst Kenga on vision will say, we need some gold back. 2k quickly became a 5k deficit, and this objective bounty would mean the world to us.
Yeah, and I'd definitely say this is Direwolf's strongest point in the game. I think when they get to play on these 3 lanes at this point where they have the item leads that they have, the amount of wave control they're going to have from the side lanes and the mid lane and the ability to rotate and engage wherever they want is exactly what this comp wants to do. Whereas Kanga, they're going to be forced to match these lanes in matchups where they are very behind, so it's going to be hard for them to be able to trade, get any gold when they're constantly having to commit more members to, you know, soften the blow of this gold lead right now.
Really hope for Kangas that they can try and find something here in the mid lane. They've committed a fair bit of time with 3 members waiting to try and push this one in. Get a bit of a numbers mismatch. You can see that Chungy's just free hitting, getting it done in the bot lane on his own. He's now going to be matched up by Sovereign. But in the same vein as well, Mayfan has really had his run up against Woodon, which is something I didn't really expect to see.
Yeah, definitely. Mayfan's having a quiet victory in the top lane. Secured himself a nice lead, even though he doesn't have a CS lead right now. He always had priority in the lane, and he always had Woodon on low health, so he was unable to impact the rest of the map, and I think that was so important. But as Rifu is getting back into the Rift Herald.
Bit of frustration for Mochis, and Power went on cooldown, but I think it was just out of range even the cast there to try and get this man out. The Herald is going the wrong way because he's that scared of falling victim to a gank. So eventually Chile will turn its head around and realize, hang on, the north is this way, I will head that direction instead. Seemingly may just be denied and find themselves nothing in the end.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Rift Herald changes. I think that the whole driving mechanic is a bit, you know, too much. But those kind of scenarios that you don't really get to see without this mechanic in the game is nice to see. Rifu would have definitely fallen down to that TP coming out there where he does not have the flash. So good use of the, you know, the new mechanics in this season.
Oh, every single time we pan the camera, it just looks like Direwolves are shutting down yet another tower. That becomes 2. You can see that Sovereign is going to get a little bit of freedom to push with nobody else here to respond. May find just a little bit too late to prevent that tier 1 from falling on down. So Kanga will find yet another bit of objective bounty gold, but doesn't really help them in terms of closing this gap. 5k is the hole they find themselves in right now. It's the Hextech soul to play for, which would be fantastic for either side. Can they find a kill on this occasion? Because Mayfun says no with the explosive cost to knock them back. Great flash out of the Talia flick. And yet again, the ganking party of Kanga is denied.
Yeah, Mayfan playing a bit aggressive, but he always has his flash, so you're always able to do that. I think something to take note of right now, Skimmy, is the items in the inventories. We see the Infinity Edge already coming out of Chungy. I think it's really important to note that usually Yasuo and Yone have to go for the defensive item second. We see these shield bows coming out. Because it's very hard to go in and be able to kill someone when you're this squishy, when you get these double offensive items. But because he's so far ahead of the clock this game, we don't even see second items coming out of any members from Kanga. He's able to go in, still be tanky from the base stats he has from the amount of experience he's got in this game, and just absolutely blow someone up.
What would you like to see come out of Chungy next? You know, given that we are saying that the AP threat has been fairly neutralized, is it just like a Death Stance angle, Sterex perhaps?
Well, usually when you're this far ahead in the game, going defensive is extremely good because you're gonna use your level lead to be able to make up for the damage lost you have from not building offensive items. But I think Shield Bow is a completely fine option. Death Stance is also a good option if he wants to go for it. There's no need to build more damage. You're already going to be one-shotting people inside these cast combos.
It already has all the crit that is required, right, to become that absolute powerhouse. So it's just a case now of making sure that you protect yourself and don't get caught on all these roams that Kanga continue to try and find. This 3-man squad between Refury, Sovereign and Gaben, it doesn't show any signs of slowing down. It's certainly a case of try and try again until it finally does work out in their favor. And maybe now they will go for the gamble. With the vision being toggled back again, Refury is still committing to that recall. Might regret it now, because as soon as he goes back to base, so does Sovereign, this time in a body bag.
Yeah, Chungy was respecting when his team wasn't there, waiting for them to push mid, finally plays aggressive on the wave as his team is rotating after the priority coming off the mid wave, and they find the easy kill on Kanga. But this is what Kanga needs to do. They need to be in these side lanes looking for kills, but this is not what Refury wants to do right now.
No, not the case at all. He flashes across the wall, but will that slow down Direwolves? I think they're still going to be looking to try and hunt for him. Vendrick there to link up with it, but there is that one man and Pell are looking for. Out comes the Dragon. Not going to find much, then just a cheeky little top-up heal. As Refury will once again commit to the recall. And Direwolves are just bullying out their opponents from this jungle.
Yeah, they can just walk all over the map right now and engage wherever they want. Katsuri lost vision, so he was unable to use the killer instinct to find the kill onto Refury after his flash went out. But they still get the summoners, they still get the inner turret, hopefully here, unless, you know, Kanga muscle them off with a bit of their numbers advantage coming through here. But, you know, back to my point, Kanga needs to be sitting in these side lanes trying to find these picks. They need to use any cheese available to them to be able to get back into the game because, you know, based on the items in the inventory, it's so hard for them to team fight.
Well, for the first time, it looks like we're going to see Kanga group up as 5 here in the mid lane. Mayfar not interested at this stage, so the 4-1 split continues for Direwolves. Big reason why we've all converged on the mid lane, be it another objective has spawned. It's 20 minutes on the dot, so Baron is up on the table as well. But finally now, the TP is committed, the wave is pushed in, the reset happens, and out of the fountain comes Mayfar, and a full 5v5 might occur. But for all the good work Kanga did to establish control mid lane, it didn't help their chances from denying that third dragon going away of Direwolves.
Yeah, still grouping up, still trying to find any control they can. The cast goes out onto Roof3, though he does not have the flash.
He just does not have it. Yeah, and as you say, so easy for the Gragas and Yasuo to link up. So the last breath comes out. It's exactly what happens to the Taliyah, falling on down. As they'll find yet another kill and continue their march from the Dragon all the way up to Baron. And a perfect time to say a triple kill into a Baron on our doorstep. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, just wrong place, wrong time for Kanga. They tried to set up to contest the Dragon, were unable to do so, and they found themselves lacking on the mid wave after the Dragon's gone down, so Dial's no hesitation to engage when they know when all 5 members of Kanga are, and they're going to pick themselves up a free ban already at the 21-minute point in the game, so I think that, you know, after this recall, it's going to be very, very easy money for them to pick up on the rest of the map.
Yeah, there you go once again, right? It's as easy as that, right? To hit the ultimate, guarantee the key target is locked on, and then from that point onwards, it's just a numbers game of see a target, kill them.
Yeah, it's easy as that, and it's everyone in the individual 1v1 is going to be able to get a lot in this team price on the Direwolf side, and this is one of the problems when it comes to these, you know, engage comps paired with the Yasuo. Is like you always need something to be able to peel the engage, because it's so hard to outplay a Gragas cast coming over the wall, like a Diana engaging onto you with the ult. It's just way too much distance to cover, and the instant CC is very hard to play around. So you see Sovereign getting collapsed on by multiple members from Direwolves.
The Sovereign look to try and maneuver out of this situation. Now he's got the face reveal of Shinky. Goes, all right, what do we do? Well, there is the knock-up from the Poppy. So instantly out comes the ultimate with you burning on down to the Ignite. Chang'e can just wait for the next creep wave to arrive and deliver yet another kill in your stead. He's just had a rough time trying to lock down Katsuri. In the end, Mummy gets it done. A shutdown that Vendrick so sorely needed in the right place at the right time once again here in mid.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why we always see the cleanse coming out into the rel. It's kind of hard to outplay the Q flash into ult combo. You always need that cleanse to be able to reposition with your flash afterwards. Really nice pick on the Katsuri though. These are the kind of kills they need to be able to get back into the game.
Certainly is. Any bit of gold right now is definitely going to put them in a much more comfortable position, because what was 5k only 5 minutes ago is soon to balloon into a 10k deficit. 2-man impale straight into that tower. Well, the tower has barely any HP left, but it's still doing its job. It's still getting it done, and all-out mode is committed out by Woodon, but unable to find the target he is after. And really is a bit of a messy affair where we're just trading cooldowns. In the end, Refury says, I'll die and do whatever I can to at least get one back.
Worth Skimmy. And the entire time Chang'e had teleport, but he decides, you know, to get the inner turret. He doesn't really care if the mid turret goes down, if his team is still going to win that fight if they did commit to it. So he's going to get as much resources on the side as he can. You know, on the clock, almost a 10 CS per minute, already 3 items completed. With the inner turret gold in his pocket, he's going to base and find, you know, just even more lovely items put in his inventory.
There's the death stance, as we like to see, right? So really now going to be taking negative DPS from this Tristana and Smolder. Can really jump in their face and have a bit of a laugh at it. So let's then check in with the overall golds. And yes, sitting firmly at the top. And I think it would be fair to say this is what Direwolves will be missing, right? A second carry amongst their roster. No longer is it Katsuri amongst everybody else. It's Chang'e at the top by a very healthy margin.
Yeah, and this game definitely does feel all about Chang'e. Even though we're used to Katsuri being the, you know, man of the hour, I think he's having a more quiet game. I think it's just a lot of his team's ahead, so he gets to just do whatever he wants this game, and that's probably a very nice sign to see for Direwolves.
Certainly a breath of fresh air, maybe a bit of a honeymoon period at the same time, once you make a roster swap to see just how it all comes together. And at the moment, we are pretty impressed with what we see. 24 minutes into this one, another minute, and Direwolves can look for that Hextech Soul. As for Kanga, though, what is their game plan now? I guess the saving grace for them is they've not lost any inhibitors to make sure that the game is going to come to a close anytime soon, but we are slowly working towards that with all these tier 2s missing.
Yeah, one saving grace for Kanga right now is Direwolves was unable to break the base with that Baron buff, and I think it's very important for their comp to be able to do that because their siege sucks. Kanga, as long as they keep their base alive, they always have the ability to scale. As long as the inhibitors are not broken with the dive threat coming out of Direwolves or, you know, misposition numbers as we're seeing right now, they're always going to be able to scale. And we see Smolder finally hits that execute threshold right now. The 225 stacks coming out of him. So Vendrick is online. He has a couple items in his inventory. You know, I don't think Kanga are in such a dire position right now. You know, pun intended, but we'll have to see if they're able to scale up Skimmy.
Well, that is the conversation, because many patches ago, we'd say 2-2-5 GG, you won the game, right? Smolder will just 1v9 these fights. Certainly has had a fair few changes since the initial launch. But I wonder if even in a deficit as big as this, can Kanga look to claw things back? And they're going to wrestle as 5 hold hands or walk through the jungle to try and find their way into the river. But will Direwolves even look to try and make this a 50-50 flip?
Yeah, and Kanga felt, very pressured to contest this dragon, but I think walking in blind with the TP flames coming out is way too hard for me.
It's pretty crazy. 2-man Impale, 2-man Last Breath, too many members falling on down, so 2 becomes a double kill, and Chungi can literally do no wrong right now. The cast goes across the wall, there's the triple, hunting for the quadra, and how crazy would it be if you were to get a pentakill on your debut back? As Mayfun looks to run him down, he's TP to the bot wave, he's hacking and slashing through that minion wave to cover distance.
No
He'll
flash.
just dive straight through that tower, he doesn't care about it whatsoever. But too quick is this Tristana, and is Chungi going to go completely crazy? No. He has a little bit of restraint, guys.
Yeah, no, unfortunately unable to find the penta, but I see the angle there. Sometimes it's nice to see people give the pentas, but it's got to be earned in my opinion, Skimmy. We don't like to see people just like give it and let it die. It's got to be earned.
Well, 11 on, I need to say 11 on 13. Nearly gave him too many assists. 11 on 3. Certainly a nice scoreline to look at to get your nerves under wraps, as we heard from him in that interview beforehand. Mayfun is having a little bit of damage here. He's just going to walk out of that one. Is Shinky stuck? No, just enough of the space for him to go back. But then with a Talia flip in the end, it was a losing fight. Despite that, though, Direwolves still going to be quite content. They've got the Hextech Soul, and they've only got 20 seconds to reset, respawn. And look at a 4v5 for Baron.
Yeah, and we go into the replay. Kanga feels pressured to contest this soul point, but there's just way too many angles coming out. We see the multi-man knockup coming out of Shinky that sets up the last breath. And Chungi is just unleashing this fight. It's so hard for Kanga to be able to fight when there's just so many different angles where they feel threatened from. But this is a good call, Skimmy. As bad as it looks, they need to flip the Baron right now. They
certainly do need to add a little bit of chaos into this game, as Gaben looks to jump across the wall and hit himself with a 3-man Magnet Storm, but there is no follow-up. All that peel, all that lockdown is good, but it means nothing because they're just so far behind, so disconnected. As that's really nice by Mayfun on the flip across the wall. The gold gets shared around, but look at that damage from that Yasuo.
Yeah, that was just an ult and a couple autos. He did that much damage. We saw the really, really nice engage coming out of game, but there was just no follow-up. And that was just like, fine, we'll do it better. We'll show you how it's done. They throw out the cast. Easy combo from the Yasuo Gragas to just find the backline and instantly blow them up.
That's what it takes. In the end, just one final fight. And you can imagine for Kanga, if they got that Baron, perhaps there was a world in which they could claw things back. But at this stage, there's just too much to escape. It takes one ultimate, and the entire team comes together, gives each other a high five, and for good reason too, because in 28 minutes, they've absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, and this goes to show that there isn't only Katsuri you need to worry about. There's multiple members on the Styles roster who have champions that can really take over games. So a lot to go back for Kanga on the drawing board. Are they going to run the same, style next game, or are they going to get rid of this altogether?
Well, I'm very curious also in the same kind of conversation as to, is this what we're always going to be getting out of Chungi, right? Is he going to look to try and be that hard carry, or is there still room for him to flex